Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now, some of you may or may not know that right now I'm in the process of moving all of my sim racing equipment from downstairs into this room, which is why you can see the empty space behind me. But as a one-man band where I do all of my own production, editing, etc., I need a desk area to complete all of those tasks. Now, historically, this is where I've always cheaped out. It hasn't necessarily been the case that I couldn't afford a nice desk area. It's just something that I've never really taken care of. And I've always just bought the cheapest desk that I could find in IKEA, which they've done the job over the years, but obviously not ideal. So when I planned out this room, I set aside an area where I am right now for a nice big desk where I could place my OLED TV, which I would use for editing and definitely not for playing games. So I went shopping for the desk, and guess where I ended up? Yep, IKEA. And I ended up buying a large 160 centimeter by 80 centimeter black gaming desk, which cost me approximately £130. I did look at some standing desks, but me being the cheapskate, as usual, I went for the cheaper option. Now, by sheer coincidence, genuinely sheer coincidence, the very next day, I received an email from Flexispot asking me if I wanted to try out one of their standing desks. I checked out the link they sent me, and this literally ticked every single box and was a much better desk than the one I'd bought the previous day from IKEA. So of course, I said yes. So in this video, I'm going to give you my opinions on this specific Flexispot desk, speak about the build process, and ultimately let you know if it's worth paying a little bit more. But before we dive any further into the video, the necessary disclosure. Flexispot sent me this desk free of charge, so I haven't paid for it. Flexispot don't have any creative input into this video, and I don't have any affiliate links with Flexispot, so I don't benefit financially in any way if you buy one of these desks. However, I have marked up the video on YouTube as paid promotion, as I received this item for free, but it's not a sponsored video. So I'll give you some specific information about the desk I have here. This is the Flexispot E7 Plus desk with a black particle board desktop. The frame itself is motorized, which means it can be raised or lowered electronically with a height range of 66 centimeters to 131 centimeters, and it can lift up to 200 kilograms. The desktop I have installed is 160 centimeters wide and 80 centimeters deep, exactly the same size as the desk I bought from IKEA. So the one I have here is the one that I would have actually chosen. It gets delivered in 3 boxes, 1 for the desktop and 2 for the frame, but they're really heavy, so bear that in mind. So when I look at a product on this channel, I break it down into 4 simple categories: looks, build quality, performance, and value for money. So before I jump into those categories, I'll briefly talk about the build process. So as I mentioned, it comes in 3 boxes, 1 for the desktop, 2 for the frame. In one of the boxes which contained the frame was an instruction booklet, which I obviously followed for the build. It was your typical instruction booklet with steps to follow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. All of the screws which were to be used at certain points for the specific parts were clearly labelled, and it all went together as good as I could have hoped. But then it came to the desktop, which wasn't pre-drilled for the frame. I mean, it's no big problem as long as you measure everything a few times just to make sure that the frame is square on the desktop. And having a cordless drill with a screwdriver attachment made the job much easier. Just slight pressure on the drill and the self-tapping screws worked like a charm. However, if I had to do it with a regular hand screwdriver, it wouldn't have been so pleasant and it would have taken much, much longer. In total, it took me around 1 hour 15 minutes to complete from start to finish. And the hardest part of the assembly was flipping the desk back over onto its feet. In all honesty, that's the only part of the build where an extra pair of hands would have been useful. So, onto the categories. Firstly, let's talk about looks. Now, let's be realistic. A desk is a desk. You put stuff on it. but it does look pretty darn good in my opinion, especially in black. I can't fault the way it looks in any way. Maybe some people might not like the 4 legs, it might look a bit table-like, but I like it. Next up, we have build quality, which is excellent. The desktop was flawless, without any marks or blemishes. Same for the frame, absolutely perfect. As you would expect though for a premium desk such as this. The desk raises and lowers nice and smooth with no ratchet points as it lifts up. Just the sound of the electric motors. Now, onto performance, which is a tricky one with a desk. Like I said, it's a desk and you put stuff on it. But speaking subjectively with the desk I have and the space I now have on it, it's perfect. The sit-stand function is excellent, which can be programmed to your liking. So literally one button on the control panel and it raises to your chosen height. And one button just to lower it back down into the seating position. Although you can save an additional 2 positions, which are just numbered 3 and 4 on the control panel. Or you can just raise it up and down manually with the arrow keys on the control panel. Now, finally, onto price and value for money. So, for context, over the last few years, as I've mentioned, I've been using a cheap and cheerful IKEA desk, which probably cost me about 20 quid. I made the very unlike me decision to splash the cash and bought an IKEA desk with the same dimensions as this one and spent £130. But this desk is far more expensive. Right now, in July 2025, it's on sale at a price of £379.99, including VAT. But it's usually £549.99. But that's just for the frame. If you add the desktop that I have, it's £549.98. So it's not a cheap desk, but nor does it feel like a cheap desk. This thing oozes quality, and I've got absolutely no doubt in my mind that if you bought one of these, you would absolutely love it. And with this desk, the E7 Plus, it's got a 10-year warranty. But obviously, there's going to be certain conditions apply. You've got to use it probably as intended. But 10 years, I think that's incredible. So the big question is, would I spend my own money on it? Now, you've got to be realistic. You don't know exactly what a desk's going to be like until you get it. Yeah, you can go and see one in the showroom or look on the internet. But until you get it home, set up with your own equipment, it's really difficult to tell, which is possibly why it's been an area of my setup which has been neglected over the years. But having this desk in my room right now, I would quite happily hand over £550 if they said they wanted it back. Although I might have just shot myself in the foot if Flexispot watched this video to this point. So to summarise, the Flexispot E7 Plus desk looks great, relatively easy to build. The build quality and performance is excellent. Value for money, that's obviously subjective. It depends how deep your pockets are. But if you can spare that kind of money and want a standing desk that's literally going to last for years, I would highly recommend it. So if you've got any specific questions, please feel free to drop them down below in the comments section. And I want to say a huge thank you to Flexispot for reaching out and inviting me to take a look at the E7 Plus. So if you want to know more or check it out in more detail, I'll leave a link directly to the product down below in the video description. So hopefully this video helps somebody make a decision if you are on the market for a desk. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great week. See you later. Cheers.